Every newcomer to Thailand, to its capital city of Bangkok, cannot help but be awestruck by the country's beautiful culture, the Buddhist shrines, the dancing, the chanting, the markets. It is a place that tourists fall in love with, coming back year after year, first to Bangkok and then to the beaches along the country's coastal south. Last year it was different. A tsunami struck. Thailand was one of 20 countries the big waves rolled over, bringing with them death and destruction. I was aware of how big the tsunami really was, but for me to actually meet these people and see the location where it actually did hit gave a better scope of how big it really was. In many ways, it wasn't so much the physical size that hit me as it was their personal stories and that this has changed their lives forever. My name is Lauren Clark, age 26, Web Support Specialist. A recent university graduate, I found myself helping out ADRA Canada with their website. That was when the tsunami hit. 275,000 dead in 20 countries throughout Asia. Canadians reacted with unprecedented generosity. My job got a lot harder. With so many dead, we needed to focus on the survivors, the people we wanted to help. They sent me on a mission to find out more on behalf of the donors and to help out, if needed, the Thai people with their IT problems. I knew from the start that, ready or not, my life was about to change. Before arriving, my mental picture was focused all on the disaster. But from the moment I stepped off the plane in Phuket in the south of Thailand, I could see that life seemed to be carrying on here, surprisingly enough.
The tsunami had a dramatic effect on Thailand, of course. The death, the destruction, loss of tourism, loss of employment. But the Thai people are very resilient. There is not quite the social net that there is in Canada. People are required to take their future into their own hands, and as I have been traveling around, visiting the various locations we're working in, one of the things I can see is that people are coming up with ways to move forward. They're not sitting down and waiting for handouts to continue forever. They're proud and they want to be doing something to take care of their families.
Within hours of being here, the ADRA Disaster Relief Office is finding me useful.
Lauren, I need your help. We have a LCD projector that we want to use tomorrow in the training. This is the computer we want to use tomorrow. It's not reading. It reads off of another computer, but doesn't read off this one. I don't know why, but if you could have a look at it and see if you can get it working.
Sure, I'll see what I can do. And then I am given an overview of what ADRA has been doing in the area and what I am going to be seeing over the next 2 weeks.
I've asked Lauren to join us for the meeting so that she gets a feel for how we're approaching the work. Let me just give you a bit of an explanation. John is the head of our water program. Lek is head of our community development program. Pam is my assistant, does the translating and the recording of the minutes of this. And we sit down and we assess new project ideas that come in from communities that we're working with. And we also review the progress of activities that have already been started. So what we have here is minutes of our previous
It's hard to
meetings.
believe that just 8 months ago, the whole world watched in horror as the mammoth tsunami battered Thailand. And now I will see firsthand how the people are recovering. I am nervous about dealing with the sadness, but excited to find out where I can help. My thoughts do often drift to home.
Are you gonna miss me?
I think so.
Or will the cats miss me more?
I think the cats will miss you more. Usually it's me going to these places instead of yourself, and I think it'll be good. You'll have a fun time.
I was married in October of 2004. I have been dating Andrew for about 7 years or so, and he's always been strong and encouraging. Andrew would always try to get me to try something new, between sushi or Thai food, even Vietnamese. It was hard for me to take that step. I was just like, no, that looks too weird. When I told him about this opportunity to go to Thailand, he didn't even hesitate before he said, make sure you go. It would be a great experience for you, Lauren. So that was it. Here I am, still a newlywed, and my husband is telling me that I should go halfway around the world. It will be good for me. Lucky for me that I am going to have a lot of help. His name is Todd Bruce, and we have met before, long ago when we were very young. His family and my family used to be neighbors. He was about my age when his career in international development began, and now he is running the entire post-tsunami rehabilitation phase for ADRA in southern Thailand.
So Todd, could you show me a little bit of where we're located?
Okay, well, let's orientate ourselves. Canada's here, come across the Pacific Ocean, over to Southeast Asia, Indonesia. In my own situation, there was an ADRA worker, a guy who'd been out there for 10 years before, who I'd started working with, and I looked to him, and now looking back at the things that he gave me and the advice he gave me, it was very helpful to help me through it. And yeah, I'd like to be there if she needs it, be in touch with me whenever, and I'll try to help her along. And this area of the coast was dramatically affected, loss of boat.
We get reports every 3 months from our major programs, and you hear the stories of the people that you're helping. And it is a little bit intangible when you don't actually see the people that you're helping over in the field.
VCDs.
We took a look at some of the tsunami videos, actual footage taken by many of the tourists and police during the actual events. There was some footage of some people, children and couples that were being swept over, and they didn't have any hope because the force of the tsunami was so large. In a lot of ways, there aren't words to describe seeing people who didn't see anything coming, and that's just the end of it for them. It's devastating, and it made me feel very sad, and I don't know, just sad.
When Lauren steps out into the overseas situation, there's a couple things that could test her, that could challenge her. One of them is basically the physical situation. You're in a new culture, new situation, a new environment. Listening and learning and understanding needs to be very, very high up on the skill list of a person that's going to be going out, because development is not something that we bring in to places we go to work. It's something that we form and develop with the people that we're working with. Another thing, as a guest into a culture, you need to be sensitive to the realities of the culture, and I guess that goes back to the need to be understanding.
I hope that I'm up to the task. I don't want to let anybody down. I don't want to be the little girl that gets in the way. You know, you actually want to be somebody there helping, not being a hindrance. explain to me maybe a little bit about your experiences on the day of the tsunami?
My niece and nephew lived near the beach. Somebody told me there was a big wave, like a tsunami. I did not believe it at first, but when I knew it was a real situation, I went to look for my niece and nephew. I found my niece the day after the tsunami, but my nephew was gone.
I have a house near the beach, but that day I was working in another house higher up. Somebody told me to move because of the big wave. So I brought my father and my mother up there. But down below, my neighbor's house was destroyed. It could have been us. I lost 2 nephews and 2 nieces who were working in the resort at the time.
That day I was working up on the hills, but my daughter was working near the beaches. I heard that someone told her there is water coming, water at the beach. But then in the afternoon I went back and I tried to find my daughter, but she was gone. I have not found my daughter yet. My son-in-law was lost as well. Now I'm raising their baby.
First wave coming just 2 meters, and after just only 1 minute, second wave coming about more than 10 meters. You can see the coconut tree up there, yeah?
It was as high as the coconut tree?
Yeah, sure.
Wow. This building that you're constructing here is replacing a hotel that your family owned, yes?
Yes.
And could you explain a little bit about how this affected your personal losses with your family and your hotel as well?
In my family, took on together, I think about 50 people died from the tsunami from my family.
I'm sorry for your loss.
Yeah. From the sea, you know.
Pretty much any person that you talk to in that area has lost, if not family, and lots of family, some pretty major assets, being their property, their hotel, their method of living. So pretty much everywhere you turn, there is a great loss.
I think when people think tsunami and devastation, they think of people standing on the coast getting swept away. But the community that was affected, their boats and fishing equipment were destroyed and damaged. That's something that affects their livelihood, income possibilities. Hydro has been able to provide livelihood support through the provision of replacement boats. We have 100 boats being constructed that will be distributed to people in that community and others surrounding it that have lost boats.
This is something that needs to be done as soon as possible because there are fishermen waiting to get their boats before they can start fishing again and making a living.
It feels very good to know that you're contributing to getting people back out doing what they love to do and making it possible for them to support their families. The people that have lost their homes have been housed in temporary housing up and down the coast of Thailand. And as Lauren was seeing today, the housing is very basic, pretty much just putting a shelter on top of their heads.
The particular village where we went is 90% Buddhist, and the rest are Muslim and Christian. The temple has basically opened up its land for a bunch of displaced people from one of the islands out here.
And they let them stay?
Yeah.
Oh, that's good.
The group that she saw was a Moken community, which the Thais call sea gypsies. They are nomadic people that travel up and down the islands.
One of the Morgan ladies took us inside her hut and showed us, and it is very tiny, but
Oddly enough, she was very happy with it. She said it was actually better than what she had been in previously. I'd say it's pretty small. It was a neat experience actually having an opportunity to meet some of the local people and talk to them and get to know them a little bit. Very, very beautiful and sharing people, and you can tell that the communities are very close-knit and that they care for each other. Cup can cup. They did teach me a few Thai words to help me get along. They sent me out to the water drilling project, which is a CETA-funded project with ADRA Canada. And I was very happy to see this one because this is one that I have been doing some work on back home as well.
She got a sense of some of the life situations of the people that the tsunami has affected, the impact of how it affected their drinking water at the community level because it salinated their water.
They allowed me to get my hands into it a little bit too, where I got to help remove some of the sediment that was coming out from the drilling. I think they were having a pretty successful day, but at the end of the day they still hadn't hit water. One of the staff told me that it usually takes about 3 days before they do hit water, and then by the time it's ready to go, I think it's about a week or 2 weeks. Once they have the whole thing in place and water coming to the villagers. I think pretty much all of them have to buy their water right now, and because of the tsunami they cannot afford what they used to. Their income has been cut almost in half, so they can't afford to buy the water anymore. It was a good feeling to see how much change this water drilling will actually help the community. This will really help them out quite a bit. At the end of the day, I felt sad for the people that had lost so much, but I felt very encouraged in the fact that we will be helping them to get back up on their feet and start working towards their future again.
Back to Bangkok.
Thank you very much.
Lauren has skills in website development, and because you look after our website, I thought you could share with one another, and hopefully ADRA Thailand can have #1 website.
Well, we'll work towards it.
There you go.
Okay. Here I am back in Bangkok. My camera and my mind are stuffed with images and stories to tell the people back in Canada. People really are getting on with their lives. Kids are back in school, even if it is only a temporary shelter. Gravity-fed water is flowing down from the hills into people's homes. The Thai culture clearly holds a lot to draw on when it comes to treating trauma. I will never forget the images of people using meditation to ease the pain of loss. Amazingly, some people are moving forward, past where they were before the tsunami, and our help is making a difference.
We traveled to a small village where we're doing some small enterprise development programs. We're giving loans to community members so that they are able to reestablish their businesses. We talked to one lady there who was trying to renovate her building after the tsunami hit it and wiped it out.
I was wondering if maybe you could tell me a little bit about what you have learned today.
Today, we are training for a microcredit fund that ADRA has started. 60 people or so came here to learn how to run the fund, how to borrow the money we need to rebuild and start new businesses, and of course, how to repay the loans. I want a loan of this money to have my own business, a small restaurant in the community.
She really gave me the impression that she was a strong woman who was ready to kind of face the challenges of the future again, and I was very happy to see that, just seeing somebody who wants to get back up on her feet and fix her restaurant and start over where things had been earlier.
I will of course never forget this experience.
My name is Lauren.
Part of me will always be here wondering how it turned out for everybody.
Okay.
And another part will be telling people back in Canada how their help is still needed. For the moment, however, I can still make myself useful here to people in Bangkok. More and more I am liking this feeling of being useful. When I started out on this journey, I wondered if I would just be getting in everybody's way as they got on with the serious business of recovery. But now I know where I fit in and where I am going to fit in.
I'm working in my niche. My skills are in the areas I am working in. I think it's best that I use my skills the way that God gave me to use them.
I'd like to be able to inform the public a little bit more about what it is that we do, and I think one of the biggest ways of doing that nowadays is through the internet. You need to let people know what you're doing constantly. They are seeking new information, and I think if they can see the direct result more often, then they would be more interested in supporting that somehow and becoming involved themselves. When I first graduated, it didn't matter where I was working as long as I had a good job. But coming out here and seeing some of the things that are being done as a result of the work that I do definitely gives me a lot more ambition to continue in that path. It brings a lot of joy to my life to know that I can do so much for other people. I'm more committed. I definitely am more encouraged to continue.